In this video, we will connect our Springboot app to CloudSQL Postgres database that we made in the first video using CloudSQL connectors libraries. So first, let's quickly create a simple Springboot app. For that, I'll use the start of Spring.io to initialize the project, Springboot project, Java, the Springboot version 2.7.2. The group ID should be when.cloud. The artifact should be cloud service. Jar file 17. Could add some dependency like web. To connect to the database, we will use Spring Data, Spring Data CP8, and Postgres of course. And a tutor for health check API and Lamport. Let's generate it. Okay, so I'll move it to desktop here and I check here. Okay, now we have the card service folder. Let's move to it. Card service, and okay, that's so good. Okay, this is okay now. Okay, let's take a look at your build radar to see everything. Okay, we have the actuator, the data GPA, web, Lamport, Postgres. I think that's all. The application that can save data to database. Okay, we will need the entity. Okay, card entity, and this should have an ID, a field card obviously, and a description. Let's pick an entity, and for entity we need a getter, and no argument constructor for the zero line, and we also need an ID and one generated value, something like G ident, okay. And entity, we also need a repository, a car repository, and GPA repository, card along for the IDs, and for 3-layer architecture, we just need a service. So let's call it card service for its symbol. Card service, and in card service we will auto-wire the card repository, private, card repository, and we need to mark as a service. We need also to create a constructor for it, and card service we need something called issue new card, for example. And the last one, I think we need a controller. Could be card controller, this thread controller, and have some request mapping for it. Something could be like card, and also require a constructor which we will card service into it, service, card service, and issue new card. But maybe we need a detail for this one. We need a detail for this one. So detail should be a record. Card request, issue card request, garrison, and it should be have card and description. Okay. Issue card request. One should be post mapping request. And here we need to, maybe we also need a record for correspond should be have a long ID string core and string description. Okay, should be return a correspond. For example, receive a request and return response reasonable, right? And also so this one will receive a card. And this repository of self card will also need to return the card. Okay, return it. Is your new card service. Okay, this one we will. Okay, so create a constructor for this. Only two here. Okay, make it consistent. Yeah, new card request description. I have a card. We're using card service. Card, return card, save card. And here we will return new correspond. So now save card IDs, save card get card, and save card to get descriptions. Yeah, I think. Yeah, that's all for now, I think. Define your application properties. Okay, I'll turn it to YAML. So it should be contact paths, something like card service. And for set the database, I need the driver, the class name, Postgres, and with the URL, right? URL could be the GBDC, Postgres, set Postgres URL, and ++ is they should localhost or for something. But in our case, we don't really need a host name. So, and this is the database names. If you remember from the last video, the database name, we used the default database name of the Postgres, of the Cloud SQL is Postgres, and we also use the default user as Postgres. For last video, the password is password. This from the last video, and we also need to need the GBA creates the schema for us through through the detail auto properties. So let's do it. GPA hibernate DTL2. Update. So it will update your schema based on the entities. For Cloud SQL, we really need to take a look at this library. We have to use this to connect to Cloud SQL. Okay, let's take a look at it. So we need a hierarchy config with the socket factory and Cloud SQL instance. So but we really need to know where it come from. So I think it should be here. No sublet, right? Palm sublet PostgreSQL Cloud SQL socket. Oh, I think it should be this one. So let's copy it and paste it into our build Radar. So let's paste it here. This one. Okay, move to here. So we should have it in the class path. And now we need to update your property again. So let's take a look at it. We need a socket factory and Cloud SQL instance property inside the hierarchy config. So let's do the same. Hierarchies, data structure properties, and let's copy it from here. Socket factory, this one, Cloud SQL instance. Yeah, this instant connection name. This, if you remember from the last lesson, yeah, in here we used to Cloud SQL and our DB that created from the last lesson. And if you remember in the overview, we could see the connection name here. So let's copy it and paste it here. Yeah, I think now we should run it. What the heck? Oh, contact back master with slot. Okay, let's do it again. Can not been with name. Oh, we have to die. Yeah, maybe we have to define the dialect. It's not auto determined. So we need properties, right? Hibernate to define, and dialect here. Hibernate dialect, right? Property Hibernate dialect. Okay, for easy to understand, I think Hibernate dialect. And here, okay, it should work this time. Oh, the class not found exception. Call the Google Cloud at underscore. It's really weird. A doc. Yeah, okay. This one look right. So it's informed that the application default credentials are not available. So that's why we need to remember the doc here. So that way we need to activate your application default from the gcloud command line that we already installed from the last lesson. Okay, let's install. So if you haven't installed the Cloud CLI and Cloud SDK, so you can take a look at the previous lesson, where I install when I install the Cloud SQL Postgres database and the Cloud CLI as well. Okay, now let's run this one. Is something. Oh yes, I'll do this link for you guys. Mistake. So it's asked me to authenticate myself. Yeah, you're now authenticated with Google CLI. Yeah. So now we saw that this means we successfully activate using the G-Cloud SDK, or you can say in G-Cloud CLI. Okay, let's turn it again. Still have an error. Cloud SQL Admin API has not been used or disabled. Okay, let's enable it by visiting it. Okay, enabled. It will take a minute. Okay, we got it. Okay, so I think we could rerun it again. So let's stop it. Stop. Yeah, and run it. Okay, so hopefully. Okay, we got another error. The database did not exist. Okay. So this time it should work. Okay, run this again. Yes, using has authentication using user credential from Google Cloud SDK. Yes. Okay, connecting to Cloud SQL instance via SSL socket. Yes, that also the one. Okay, and now we can see that it's create a connection to the cloud. So let's test again with our Postman. Okay, let's open Postman. Okay, I think we should localhost 1818 cross service. As you remember, is the context part here, and curse, we have curse and post and body. We should draw tag JSON, and we have a card one and description, right? Description one. Okay, description one. Okay, let's try to test it. Test. Yes, okay. So now we need to check in the database again. So we can see that, okay, we need to check database again, and we need to do the same thing as the lesson. Lesson 1, do you remember? We use Cloud Proxy, Cloud SQL Proxy. Yeah, this one here. This is an instance name. That we used, for your project. You can see the same thing here. This instance name, it's the same with this instance name, and we will bind it to our localhost 35432. Okay, no subfile. Okay, we need to move to the desktop. Do you remember I saved it on desktop, right? Yeah, here. Run it. Okay, why it takes so long? Okay, ready for new connection. And now we move to DB Beaver. We need to connect it. Let's edit connection to check again the localhost 5432 Postgres the username of Postgres also, but password should be card, right? A card password, no, password. Okay, test connection again. Make sure we have it. Okay, open it. Database, portrait, schema, public, table. Now we see that we have a table card here. This was created by the DTL auto of GPAs, and in here we can see that all the card and the duration was no interesting. How it's happened. Issue card request got serialized. I need to take a look at it. Create another card description. Oh, okay, forgot that. Got request body here. Okay, let's run it again. Don't really need that. Request body. Request. Okay, run it again. Okay, ID2 card 1 description 1. Okay, go to here, refresh. Yeah, that's all. Yeah, thank you for watching.